Ari, the whiskey guy here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are gonna head today to the Las Vegas Distillery. Let's head over to the distillery and see how the whiskey is made.
Hello, my name is George. Welcome to Las Vegas Distillery. The story of Sin City, it's connected very deeply to the story of the booze. We are ringing this bell every time when we are happy. If we touch the wing of the angel, we will be very lucky that night in the casinos. Okay, so please come and I will show you a little bit about the manufacturing. So of course, when you are a small little local distillery, you are looking around and you try to use the best what you can and the local grains. Of course, we are in the middle of the desert, so it's very difficult to find something local. But up in North Nevada, there are many farms, and we are working together with Winnemucca Farm, with Diva Farms, or Panoya Farm, small farms here in Nevada. And we are getting our grains from there, also from California and Montana, and from the region, from the west part of the United States. When we started to create to make our whiskeys, we were thinking that, okay, let's make some traditional recipes, but in the same time, let's go and do something unique things. For example, we have our Nevada 150 bourbon, which was the first bourbon made here in the state. We had 60% corn. We had the second grain wheat, so it's a wheated bourbon, like Maker's Mark, and we have rye in the recipe. But we created also 7-grain bourbon, which has 52% corn and 6 times 8% other grains. And we chose this recipe because 7 is the lucky number in Vegas. So we thought that it's a kind of cool idea to have these recipes. We have rum. We are using molasses from Louisiana. We are making gin, and I'm very proud, just 25 miles from our door, on the other side of Red Rock Canyon. It's a small valley full with juniper berries, and we are going out every 3-4 months, and we are collecting junipers, and we are using to make our gin. Also, we put peppermint, lavender flower, coriander, and other spices in the gin also. In Grandma's apple pie moonshine, which is one of the favorites during the holiday season, we are, beside apple cider, we are using, of course, cinnamon, and creating a very delicious holiday spirit. Usually, of course, when we are manufacturing vodka or whiskey, we start with the grain, and the grains are coming in 2,000-pound super sacks. This is our very small little mill, and we are milling every time 2,250 pounds. And after the milling process, we are start, of course, to cook the grains. And after 7-8 hours of cooking, we have a very sweet mash full with sugars, and that is the moment when we are adding the yeast. And the yeast is a small one-cell organism which is capable to change the sugars to carbon dioxide and alcohol, and that is the fermentation. Here in the desert, the fermentation time is around 3 to 4 days. And after that, we have 10% in the mash, and that is the moment when we start to distill. When we start to make whiskey, bourbon, we have corn. So we are buying the corn from California or from Winnemucca Farms from North Nevada. And every time I'm mashing 2,000 pounds of grains, we have a very simple little mill. We name it Little Dirty because every time it's dirty, of course. And through this mill, I am able to mill around 2.5–3 hours those 2,000 pounds of grains. And I have 800 gallons of water in that tank, and mashing in 2,000 pounds of grains, I can create around 1,000-gallon mash. So actually, very simply said, this is my kitchen area. And after 8 hours of cooking process, I have a very sweet mash, and I add the yeast, and that yeast is changing the sugars to carbon dioxide and alcohol. That is the fermentation, around 3.5–4 days long here in this climate. So milling, cooking, fermentation, and after that I will have 10% alcohol in the mash, 10, sometimes 11, and that is the moment where this is the place where the magic happens in the distillery. I start to use the Copper Angels. I have 2 pastilles built by the car company. We name her Rose. My wife named her Rose because that rosebud shaped top. And the other side you can see the other pastille we name her Swan, so Rose and Swan. In the middle section we have different columns what we are using to create high proof alcohol for our vodka. At this moment we are making bourbon, and we started the destillations around 2 hours ago. We pumped the first distilled moonshine in the pot still. We have 2 steam generators. We are using electricity and steam, and that steam comes in the steam jacket, heats up the mash, and because of the boiling point differences between alcohol and water, we can separate the ethanol, the alcohol. This is the second run, so we already collecting the heart of the spirit. You can see here we have a hydrometer which shows very easily, you know, where floats the alcohol percentage of the liquid. This is 150 proof, or around 75% alcohol by volume. So this liquid at this moment what comes out has 70% alcohol and 25% water in it, and this is the usually around 75% alcohol. We start to collect the heart of the spirit. This is the middle section, and this is a bourbon, so you can feel very nicely the corn in it, and also it's we have rye in this recipe. We are collecting this around 1.5 to 2 hours, and we will have a moonshine or white lightning, and this liquid we will dilute it to around 60% alcohol, and we put in the barrel. We have very different size of barrels in the house. Smaller barrels, baby barrels, bigger barrels. Here I can show you, for example, this is a 53-gallon American Standard whiskey barrel, and we are inside the barrels are toasted and charred, and you put that harsh, flavorful moonshine in this barrel. The alcohol expands and goes in the wood through this charcoal layer, which is a cleaning system. The wood, the American white oak, it's a flavoring system, so adds a lot of flavors to the spirit. And as I mentioned, because it's very hot and very dry here in the desert, it is a huge evaporation, 5-6 times bigger evaporation like in other much more colder climates. So what happens when I put this liquid here, you can see here, this is one of my bourbon staves, bourbon barrel staves. If I turn on this way, you can see very nicely this darker layer, how deeply entered the whiskey in the wood, and this was just 2 years and couple of months. Here you can see another stave, and this is a 16-year-old Scotch whiskey barrel stave. You can see 2 very interesting differences. First of all, our whiskey bourbon barrel, you know, the whiskey, this darker line, you know, it's like a curve, a very nice standard curve, and this one is the other one, it's like undulating up and down. This is because, first of all, we are not moving our barrels, so we put down peacefully and we don't move around them. So this way, you know, if it is the by gravity, the lower part will enter more, a little bit, the upper staves less. And this barrel, of course, it was rotated, but you see, this is just, let's say, 2.5 years, and this is 16, so it's not an 8 times bigger, deeper kind of difference. So this is the only usual visual way, you know, to show that, yes, of course, you have a huge evaporation, but in the same time, because it's so hot, the alcohol expands more in the wood, and a little bit it's faster, this kind of process. But still, 10% losing every year, you know, it's very painful, and after 5 years, my barrels is just half full. So the barrels are very important, and we have a distillery school, and actually you can come and make your own barrels of whiskies. We have smaller barrels, bigger barrels here next to you. This is a kind of little famous barrel. This is historically the #1 bourbon barrel here in Nevada. We named it the Governor's Barrel because our governor, Mr. Sandoval, was here 2 times and helped, to fill this historic little barrel. I love barrels because I think we are kind of very cool little objects. My son is 9 years old and he named them wood boxes. So these wood boxes are very, very useful, and we are having a lot of fun with them. So when I started my journey, it was very important to keep the doors open. And of course, we love whiskey, but you need to wait a longer time. So we started to make different clear spirits, and we need around 2 weeks to make from grains to bottle vodka. And Las Vegas is also a huge cocktail city, so it was a kind of logical approach, to make different vodkas. The whiskeys are telling your story. You can make a vodka or unaged spirit in 2 weeks. But waiting for the whiskey in your whiskey is the climate, it's your blood, your sweat, and everything. And I used to tell that, of course, bourbon is not just a tradition here, but really every time when we are making it, and we have barrels, very different size of barrels, and we put on different part of the distillery. And every time I'm feeling that it's Christmas when we are going to taste them. And it's a part of the job description, to go and drink all these and taste them. But really you feel like, I feel myself, like a little kid excited, around Christmas, that how this will turn out and how this will be. And really, we are talking many times about the American dream, and I just came here 10 years ago to America, and we started to make these whiskies, and it's a big honor to make here, in Nevada, not just the first bourbon, but one of the first American desert whiskies here. So many times I'm joking that we don't know what we are doing, and slowly we are learning it, but I'm very, very, very honored and humbled, that we are doing something new and something interesting, and hopefully, others will love it. And now we have all these 10 whiskies, and when people start to taste them, it was a very funny couple of weeks before we started to bottle it. I had a dream. An old lady was tasting the whiskies slowly. She didn't say anything, and at the end she looked up in my eyes and she said that, "George, you are in trouble." And I said, "What do you mean? We are not good?" "No, George, all of these 10 whiskies are tasting the same." So I was like, when we opened the barrels, we started to taste. The first thing was that, is taste the same or is different? It's different? Hurrah, we made it! So it's good, it starts a conversation, and of course many people love this or that one, but it's just very kind of cool, that you can taste and you can have an opinion, and we can give them. So I'm very happy for this.
Back in part 1, we heard the story of George and his distillery and him coming to the United States and learning how to make whiskey here in the desert of Las Vegas. Part 2, wow, what a fantastic adventure through the distillery and seeing their beautiful stills, Swan and Rose, and hearing about the other fine spirits that they make here at the Las Vegas Distillery in Las Vegas, Nevada. Part 3 is going to come up shortly. We're going to taste through 12 different whiskeys that they make at the Las Vegas Distillery. So I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for part 3 of the distillery tour at the Las Vegas Distillery here in Las Vegas, Nevada.